Srinivasa. Welcome to second part of our very interesting benefits of and essence of Vishnu Sahasranama discourse delivered by Sri Sunder sir. And firstly, wish you all a very happy Sri Ram Navami. It's a very auspicious day to have our second part of the Vishnu Sahasranama series. And in continuation, we will now get into a bit more deep dive of the Vishnu Sahasranama, which Sundar sir will start explaining in a moment. I would like to kindly request you all to go on mute so that all the recordings can be stored in a proper way. And I'll hand it over to Sundar sir to start the second part of a three-part series. Thank you, Sundar.
Hare Srinivasa, Narayanaaya Paripurna Gudanavaya, Vishwodaya Sthitalayo Niyatipradaya, Jnanapradaya Vibudhasura Saukya Dukha, Satkaranaya Vitadaya Namo Namaste. So, good evening to all of you, and wish you all a very happy Sri Ram Navami. As you know, this is a three-part series that we are doing on Sri Vishnu Sahasranama, and we completed the previous one last Sunday, which was on the occasion of Yugadi. And I don't know what to say, whether it's a divine intervention. Then the next episode of this is happening on the occasion of Sri Rama Navami. So it is indeed the blessings of Raghavendra Swamy as well as the Puja Guru of Madhwacharya Mutt, who has blessed us for this occasion. As we know, Sri Rama is the Aradhya Murti of
Sundar, you're gone on mute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you
So
hear me
you're
now?
back now. Yeah,
Okay.
you're back.
So this is the background to which we started. So let me start by presenting this. I have a presentation which I'm using, more to keep it as a placeholder so that we cover all the points. Can you make me the presenter?
Yeah, I've given you the permission.
Can you all see the presentation now?
Yes.
Okay. So there is a very close connection between Sri Rama Navami and Vishnu Sahasranama, as we would expect, because Sri Rama is one of the incarnations of Sri Vishnu himself. But and there are many names in the Vishnu Sahasranama which correspond to that of Sri Rama himself. And two of those names I will bring out. One is Rama itself, right? Rama is one of the names which appears in Vishnu Sahasranama. And what does Rama actually mean, right? Rama actually means Ramayeti Ramaha. That means someone who gives us ananda or happiness. Now, what kind of happiness is this? If one questions that, one will get the conclusion that when Rama was born, the whole world was encapsulated in the fear of Ravana and Kumbhakarna. These guys were playing havoc in the whole system. So for Rama to be born at that time, when Dasharatha and all the people around him actually saw the baby, they were filled with infinite joy. Now, this joy is very different from seeing a newborn child. If anybody sees a child, the first thing which comes on a face is a smile, right? And when you look at a newborn child, even more. However, when they looked at Lord Rama's face, it was a happiness of the highest order. So, Rama was none other than the incarnation of Sri Vishnu and a special form of Sri Vishnu, which is that of Vasudeva Rupa. So, Rama is corresponding to Vasudeva Rupa. We always think Vasudeva is the name of Krishna. Vasudeva is definitely the name of Krishna because he was born to Vasudeva. But Rama is the incarnation of the Vasudeva Rupa of Lord Vishnu. Now, what is so special about Vasudeva Rupa is that it is with this Rupa, it is with this form that Vishnu bestows moksha to all the people who deserve it. So, in other words, he is giving us or granting us the highest level of what we can expect from anybody. So, therefore, the place of Rama is very special because this happiness or bliss that they got, all of them got by looking at Sri Rama, was that of moksha, moksha ananda, blissfulness to the perfection. That means a state when there is only happiness and there is no sorrow that is involved. So that is the meaning of the word Rama. The other name, which is again very evident, is Vayuvahana. We all know Lord Vishnu's vehicle is Garuda. But in the context of Ramayana, Hanuman carries Rama and Lakshmana on his shoulder and runs during the war when they have to counter Ravana and Indrajit. So that's one of the meanings of the word Vayuvahana. So with these two words, special words on the occasion of Sri Ram Navami, let's move on to our next thing that we wanted to cover. So I will give a very quick recap about what we learned yesterday. We said the whole Shastras are based, the whole scriptural world is based on the Vedas. From there emerged the Puranas. And then one of the special forms of Puranas is Itihasa, and that is the Mahabharata. So Sri Mahabharata occupies a very special status. It is called the Panchama Veda or the fifth Veda, meaning that it has its content are derived from most aspects in the Vedas. So it has got a Vedic foundation. So when the Vishnu Sahasranama was recited, we all know the context. It was recited by Bhishmacharya, and who were all present at that time were all the Pandavas, including of course Yudhisthira, who puts this question about Dharma Sarva Dharmanam Dharmodikatamo Mataha Kim Japan Muchyate Jantur Janma Samsara Bandhanat. He puts a very pivotal question, and we will see that question again because it's a very important question. He asked this question, so Pandavas are there, and Bhishmacharya is there, and then there is Krishna. Very, very importantly, there's Krishna. Because when Bhishmacharya was reciting the shloka, Shri Krishna was present right there, listening to it, and in that way, giving his acceptance to both the question as well as the answer, which is nothing, the answer in the form of Sri Vishnu Sahasranama itself. So it has the highest level of validity. Now we have all heard about Harivayu Stuti. When Vayu Stuti was recited by Trivikrama Panditacharya in front of Sri Madhwacharya, Madhwacharya blessed it, saying, yes, whatever you have said is right. And to this, as a blessing, he added the Nakastuti, as we all know. We on maybe another occasion we will go into the details of that. And the other one is the Raghavendra Stotra. In the Raghavendra Stotra, Appannacharya recited it, and Sri Raghavendra Swamiji from within the Brindavana said Sakshi Hayasyotrahi. So like that, the Vishnu Sahasranama has a validation coming from Lord himself. So then the greatness, as expounded by Sri Madhwacharya, is that all shlokas, Prayotha Sarva Vedeshu, all the Vedas have a minimum of 3 meanings. And Mahabharata, each shloka has a minimum of 10 meanings. And Vishnu Sahasranama has a minimum of, each name has a minimum of 100 meanings. And he quotes the, Skanda Purana. Now, not to be tied down by this, there are more aspects, which is that every name has a minimum of 100 meanings. Each name connotes at least one superior quality, the guna of Lord Vishnu, and each name connotes also one of the forms or the rupa of Lord Vishnu. Each name has a corresponding feminine form of Lord Vishnu, and each form there is corresponding to one form of Goddess Lakshmi. So now you see why we are building up this is all these aspects are not part of any other Sahasranama that are there. As we have seen earlier, there are many other Sahasranamas, but they do not have these Vedic genesis. And that is why Vishnu Sahasranama has this very unique, position. So with that, are we done with this whole thing about highlights? No, there is more. So Vishnu Sahasranama also has, as we just looked at it, has a connection with the Brihati Sahasra of the Rig Veda. So Brihati Sahasra has got 1000 riks or lines. So each line of Brihati Sahasra corresponds to one name of Vishnu Sahasranama. Now, one may turn around and say it could be a pleasant coincidence that there are different lines and they all correspond to some 1000 names. No, because sequentially also they match. That means the first ruk of Brihati Sahasra corresponds to the name Vishwam. The second rik corresponds to Vishnu. So like this, all the 1000 ruks or the sentences of Brihati Sahasra correspond to one name in Vishnu Sahasranama. So it's more than a coincidence that is there, right? Now, what is this? What are these? The Brihati Sahasra. What is speciality about that Brihati Sahasra is that each rik or each line corresponds to 72 nadis in our body, 36 on the left and 36 on the right. So therefore, the nadis correspond to one particular name of Lord Vishnu, who is the energizer of that particular part of our body. As we have seen the principles of Ayurveda, that all the diseases that come to us because of the fact that we are, there is a nadi shodhana that needs to be done. Means the energy flow through the nadis has got stopped for some reason. Therefore, we are looking at how do you get, energize that particular nadi so that the energy locking which has happened there does not happen in the future. So therefore, when we think that rogartho muchyate roga, that means if anybody has any diseases, Vishnu Sahasranama will cure it. It's not an empty promise, because reciting one name of Lord Vishnu releases the nadi, or does the nadi shodhana for that particular nadi. So therefore, the power that we can think of when we are doing and when we are reciting Vishnu Sahasranama is unbelievably high. The second thing, what they say is the Brihati Sahasra is nothing but God's food. It's God's anna. Now, like when we eat, we feel very happy because our hunger has got satiated. However, we should not mistake that Lord Vishnu also is probably hungry, and therefore, when we recite this, he feels happy. Yes, he feels happy. How does he feel happy? It is like an examiner who sees a good answer and says, "Wow, this student has really, written a very good answer or given a very good answer." On the contrary, the student should not think that he has given a great answer and educated the examiner in the process. So similarly, it is food for God, and he is very happy at that point because he sees his devotee has recited something that is very dear to him. Now, Lord Vishnu is Anandamaya. That means he's got happiness all along. His happiness neither increases nor decreases, and it is not dependent on any external forces. So therefore, while we recite the Vishnu Sahasranama, it should be in our mind that God has given an opportunity for us to, feed him through the recitation of the Vishnu Sahasranama itself. There may be days when we cannot perform the Naivedya. There is another way to perform this Naivedya, which is to recite the Vishnu Sahasranama. So, Vishnu Sahasranama is God's food. He is very happy when somebody recites this particular stotra. Again, fruits that one gets because of recitation of Vishnu Sahasranama once with all the bhakti is equal to 1000 years of meditation on Sri Hari. So when somebody meditates on God for 1000 years, the fruit that he will get can be got by reciting Vishnu Sahasranama once. And the importance of recitation of Harinama is high in Kali Yuga. Why? Because in this particular yuga, the yuga that we are all in, our body, our mind, our environment is very, very weak towards any spiritual quest. We constantly hear that in the other yugas, people have meditated for thousands of years. Forget thousands of years. Meditating even for thousands of seconds today is not possible because the yuga does not lend itself to that. It is full of negative forces which keep on, distracting us from this. Your rishis had the highest level of conduct or achara at that time. In this yuga, it is virtually impossible to do that. However, God has been very kind to ensure that in Kali Yuga, if there is one trick which works against Kali or the demon himself, it is the Harinama Smarana, which we can do 1000 times when we recite the Vishnu Sahasranama with devotion. The key point is with devotion. So you will see me repeating because a mechanical recitation of Vishnu Sahasranama is less effective compared to Bhakti Purvaka recitation of Sri Vishnu Sahasranama, right? So as we have seen, Vishnu Sahasranama therefore has the Vedic Moola in it. Now look at the importance of Mahabharata, of which Vishnu Sahasranama is a part. Both these shlokas have been quoted in the Gita Tarparya of Sri Madhwacharya, where he has told that Bharatam Sarva Shastreshu Bharate Geetika Vara Vishnu Sahasranama api Gneyam Patyancha Datvayam. That means Bharata or Mahabharata is a summation or a summary of all the Shastras. And Bharate, within Mahabharata, two parts are very, very critical. One is the Bhagavad Gita, and the other one is the Vishnu Sahasranamapi Gneyam Pathyancha Tadvayam. That means what we should be doing is study the Vishnu Sahasranama and Bhagavad Gita as much as possible, as many times as possible, and whatever little that we have understood, we are supposed to teach it to the others. That means it becomes almost like a fundamental duty of all of us to study the Bhagavad Gita and Vishnu Sahasranama and teach it to the people with our whatever understanding that we have. This is a mandatory thing. That is what is interesting about it. That means it shows how fundamental and how impactful both Bhagavad Gita and Vishnu Sahasranama are. So like this, it is what we are seeing as Vishnu Sahasranama is not just a mere recitation, but something of a stotra, but much, much higher. It has got so many unique aspects, which makes it a Sarva Shrestha Stotra. That means the supremost stotras in the world. So why does Vishnu Sahasranama, why does it start with the word Vishwam? It starts from the Vishwam because the word Vishwam connotes Sarva Shabda Vachyatva. That means any sound, any word, any letter, any word, any sentence in this world actually connotes Lord Vishnu. I will let you digest that. It's a very profound aspect of our Sanatana Dharma. Any sound, if you hear the trees moving, if you see the rivers flowing, if you see the lion roar, it could be a butterfly which is fluttering somewhere. It could be the screeching sound of closure of a door. It could be any sound, your iPhone or phone makes. All the sounds in this world actually connote Lord Vishnu. That is the profundity of sound of Sri Vishnu. Now, that is why it is called Sakala Sarva Shabda Vachya. That means all the words connote Lord Vishnu. So when you start with Vishwam, it is saying that any other word that follows it and any other word is actually nothing but Vishnu Sahasranama itself. Right? So that is why it's not called Vishwam is very, very unique. Now then our question which will come is why is Vishnu, why do we call it Vishnu Sahasranama? We could call it Hari Sahasranama, we could have called it Vasudeva Sahasranama, we could have called it anything. Why do we call it Vishnu? Vishnu Sahasranama, because the second word, Shvam Vishnu, the sequence with which it is recited next is also fixed, and that is Vishnu. That means Sakala Shabda Vachyatva for who? For Vishnu. That is why the word there is actually Vishnu, whom we are connoting there. That is why it is called Vishnu Sahasranama. Right? So Vishwan, Vishnu are very, very unique names. That is why it brings us to the next point, which is that when Yudhisthira asks this question, Bodhara Sarva Dharmanam, and Bhishmacharya gives the answer, it is not that Bhishmacharya said it spontaneously. He didn't say it spontaneously. It was not composed on the spot. Now we have heard about Harivai-stuti. It was composed on the spot by Trivikrama Panditacharya. Raghavendra, Swamy Raghavendra Ashtotara or Raghavendra Stotra was composed spontaneously. But this particular stotra existed even before Bhishmacharya was there. And he got the unique opportunity to share it with everybody in the context of Mahabharata. And that sequence, therefore, Vishwam Vishnu Vashatkaro Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu, the entire Vishnu Sahasranama, the sequence is unique. It has got a sequence. That is why it corresponds to the Brihati Sahasra. It is not something which is just there. So one may get a question. See, we got these 1,000 names. We can make a list of all these 1,000 names. That list is available. Let us just put it in the alphabetical order and just recite it. Why don't we do that? No. The sequence of the shloka has got a unique place because it corresponds to the Brihati Sahasra and it acts on our nadis in that sequential manner. So we are getting that connection. You would have felt it. And every time you recite Vishnu Sahasranama, there is a change that you experience. Or depending on how deeply you are doing this recitation and with how much focus and how, most importantly, how much of bhakti is something which is going to determine, how deeply you will be able to experience these things. But for a full celestial experience, if you say it with all the concentration, then it will have a medicinal and a curative impact on you. So therefore, it's very clear that the recitation sequence has a very unique place in the way we are looking at it. Now, the Vishnu Sahasranama, there are other aspects that we should be aware of. That is, that there are many names which are repeated. So there are 78 names of Lord Vishnu which are repeated twice. Okay. 11 names are repeated thrice. And there are 2 names which are repeated 4 times. Now, what does it mean? Right? Does it mean we said that each name of Vishnu Sahasranama has got 1,000 names, 1,000 meanings. 100 meanings. So when you say 100 meanings and there is a repetition, that means 78 names are gone because they got repeated twice. So the second word does not have the same meaning. No, that is what makes Vishnu Sahasranama unique. Each name, even though it is repeated, has got 100 unique meanings. So if a word, say for example, Vasuprada, is repeated once, that means it appears twice. So when it appears twice, one Vasuprada is different from the other Vasuprada. So the word Vasuprada has got 200 meanings. Right? I hope I'm able to get across to you. right? Similarly, thrice. Some words are repeated twice. That means totally they appear thrice. So when they appear thrice, they have 300 meanings, not one meaning repeated 3 times. It's got 300 unique meanings. And of course, similarly, some words are repeated, two words are repeated 4 times. So they have 400 meanings. I mean, 200 meanings, not. So if they repeated 404 times, each one of them will have 100. So it will have 400 meanings. That is the profundity of Vishnu Sahasranama. No other name of no other form of God or any other God has got this kind of a meaning. So what we are thinking about this as a stotra is a beautiful culmination of so many unique aspects. I can go on and on. In fact, Srihari and Pranav, maybe we can have this as a 10-part series also. I don't think I will be able to cover the greatness of Vishnu Sahasranama. But given that paucity of time and the fact that we should catch some important and critical aspects, we are moving ahead with this. Now, the other aspect is that there are certain words where there's a gender variation. And they are also repeated twice, which are mentioned here. Brahma is Lakshmi, Brahma is Parabrahma, which is Lord Narayan. Aksharaha, Aksharam. Aksharaha is Lakshmi, Aksharam is Aksharaha is a form of Lord Vishnu, which is feminine, and Aksharam is the Purusha or the masculine form of the God. Now, here is the best part. We have been saying all these days that Vishnu Sahasranama. So what is Sahasra? In Sanskrit, we all know Sahasra means 1,000. So Sahasra, unfortunately, in this context, does not mean 1,000. It means Ananta or infinite. So yes, the names are Sahasra, but the forms of God, the qualities of the God, the Vyakti or the presence of God is infinite. So all the 1,000 names are only trying to encapsulate some aspects. So Sahasra Shabdaha Anantavachi. That means it actually connotes Ananta or infinite forms. So you may say, where is this mentioned? You see the Vishnu Sahasranama itself. Ananta Rupo Ananta Shrihi Jitamanyur Bhayapaha. Ananta Rupa. One of the names of God itself is Ananta Rupa. Right? So that cannot be limited to 1,000 names. Let us say 1,000 names. Let us say each one of them has got 100 meanings. So we're talking about 100,000 names or 100,000 meanings. But we all know God is Ananta. How can that be encapsulated? So even the Vishnu Sahasranama, even the Vedas, not all the Vedas, not all the Puranas, not all the Itihasas, not all the Stotras can fully explain the greatness of Lord Vishnu. So now we understand how kind God has been on all of us by giving us a very finite way of trying to understand and get the fruits from someone who is infinite. The finite way. Vishnu Sahasranama is finite. That is not Ananta. That is finite. But with that finite, God has given us an opportunity to at least unravel some aspects of his personality, which is Ananta. Right? So this is the meaning of the word Sahasra. So all along we've been saying 1,000 names, 1,000 names. Now it is Vishnu Sahasranama now suddenly becomes an opportunity to understand, which is nothing but which is in trying to explain infinite great God. Now this brings us to the final point, which is Vishnu Sahasranama is the only stotra which is studied and not just recited. So in the Adhyayana Rupa, that means a teacher sits and teaches Vishnu Sahasranama with the meanings. The only stotra which is studied in this format because of its profound meaning and impact is the Vishnu Sahasranama. That is what Vishnu Madhwacharya has said. Gneyam patyancha tadvayam. You should know and patha. That means you should know and teach. It is not just for recitation. So you should teach how to recite. People should learn how to recite, no doubt, but it should also be understood in the form of a text. That means Vishnu Sahasranama should be opened up. We should see what is the context. We should look at what is the connection it has with other aspects. Each name should be studied independently. Find out where all this name has appeared and what is the meaning and why is it appearing like this. Now, this is a very different form of understanding a stotra than just reciting it, in a manner that is rhythmic, etc., which Vishnu Sahasranama is definitely there. And it has got a very unique musical quality if you see. Where do we see this? Is it mentioned? Yes. Rishibhihi parigitani tani vakshami bhutaye. So it is something that the rishis actually sing. What do we call Bhagavad Gita? It is Bhagavad Gita. It is a song. It's a perfect spiritual song. Similarly, Vishnu Sahasranama, of course, with its wonderful alliterations or prasa that we see, lends itself very well to being a musical form. But why does it appear like a musical form for the rishis? Is not just because of the musical aspect, but also because it is music to their ears. We say this, right? It is music to our ears. Why? Because it is very, very pleasant. It's very pleasant to hear because of its profound spiritual lesson that we get because of the recitation. Now, there are some unique names. Now, this question I think many of you would have got when you're reciting it. You're seeing these names. Lakshmi, Hiranyagarbha, Chatananda, Rudra, Sharva, Kanda. These are names of who? They are not names of Lord Vishnu. They are names of other gods. Right? Other things. Look at their padartha, some items, non-living things. Aushadam, Bheshajam, Anam, Kalaha, Dhamaha, Pranamaha, Ashwathaha. Ashwatha is a tree. Right? Yagnaha, Stutihi, Bhojanam, Kritihi. All these are what? Verbs. We are talking about a pronoun. How can it be verbs? So let's tackle this one by one because I'm sure you would have got this question. Hiranyagarbha is who? Lord Brahma, Chaturmukha Brahma. Shatananda is the Rishi. And of course, Brahmadeva, his name is also Shatananda. Rudra. Rudro Bahushara Babrur Vishwa Yoni Chushishavaha. One entire shloka is devoted to Lord Shiva. Sarva Sharva Shivasthanuhu Bhutadihi Nidhiravyaha. Sarvaha is Lord Shiva. Sharvaha is Lord Shiva. Shiva, of course, is Lord Shiva. Sarva Sharva Shiva Sthanuhu, stick. Sthanuhu Bhutadihi Nidhi. The one who is prayed to by all the Bhutaganas. Who is that? Lord Shiva. All these are Lord Shiva's names. How come you have put it here? How can that become Vishnu Sahasranama? Here is what? There are two answers to this. So for all these things, one is common to all these variations that we see, is that all of them are in our Shastric world. There are two types of meanings. One is what is Samanya Rudi. The other one is Vidvat Rudi. Samanya Rudi is something that has come by practice. So Shiva is Lord Shiva. Lakshmi is the name of goddess Lakshmi. Hiranyagarbha is all that is commonly known as the common man understands. But the unique aspect is Vidvat Rudi means, as it is mentioned in the scriptures, these people, all these names do not connote goddess Lakshmi or Chaturmukha Brahma or Lord Shiva, etc. They all connote Lord Vishnu only. It is from Lord Vishnu that these people have taken his name. It is very common, right? To take the name of the grandfather, father, and someone known to them whom they revere, they take their name. We have seen, many people name their children after celebrities. So similarly, all the gods have taken that name of Lord Vishnu onto themselves. So it is not that their name has actually appeared in the Vishnu Sahasranama. It's the other way around. Lord Vishnu was always there. He is the Sanatana, and from there we are getting these names which other gods have chosen for themselves, right? And there's a long philosophical aspect to it, which we can again see at some other time. Similarly, are the other names. So though in other names that you're seeing that connote items, again it is something which is to be applied everywhere, because in Sanskrit again Napunsakalinga, or there is Strilinga, there is Pullinga, and there is Napunsakalinga. In Sanskrit, this rule does not apply for all the words. It is not meant that a person can have only Purusha meaning or the Stri meaning. It can be Napunsaka as well. So therefore, these names are very, very unique. So when you're reciting, if you have got this doubt about why the other names are appearing like this, there are many other names also which have this connotation. The answer is simple. They are all the names of Lord Vishnu which has been flown onto others as well as other activities. Okay. So I think we have another 7-8 minutes before we take the question and answer. So before that, let us go to the question and answer. You will see I have put the question and answer in capital to connote that the Vishnu Sahasranama appears as an answer to a question which Yudhisthira asks Bhishmacharya, and that is recited by Vaishampayana, who is a rishi, who has been designated by Vedavyasa to spread the Mahabharata Grantha amongst everybody. So he's talking to Janmejaya Raja, who is the descendant of Pandavas, much later, and this whole story appears there. Now, Yudhishthira asks this question towards the end of his discussion with Bhishmacharya. In the Shastra world, anything that appears towards the end of a chapter or a topic is very, very critical, because that acts like a summary for the entire chapter. So it's like the essence. So whatever happens in that meaning, that time, is very critical. So while we have to focus on every aspect because it leads up to something important, especially in the end of a chapter, whatever appears is something which is very, very critical from the philosophical perspective. So what does he ask at the end of that chapter? He says, Kimekam Daivatam Loke Kimvyapekam Parayanam Stuvantaha Kam Kamarchantaha Prapna Yurmanamashubham. He says, what is it? Who is the person who is all powerful, who rules this world? And whom should I pray to? Stuvanta Kam Kamarchantaha. That means whom Archana. That means whom should I pray to in order to get something which is Shubham? That means which is auspicious. I'm just giving a kind of a summary meaning. It will take a lot of time if we go into each word. But that is his question. It's a very critical question. And the next part of the question, which is forming the essence of what he wants to know, is probably he's asking that question on all our behalf. That's the question we all have, which is Ko dharma sarva dharmanam. What should be my priorities? I think that's a question we all ask every day, isn't it? What is my priority? What am I doing? Whatever I'm doing, is it the right thing? Or should I be doing something else? Ko dharma sarva dharmanam. Dharmodik bhavata paramo mata. Kim japan muchyate jantuhu janma samsara bandhanat. What should I recite? Or what should I say which will get me out of the cycle of death and birth? In other words, what will take me to that state of infinite bliss? We all have happiness, no doubt around us. But that happiness comes with its own sorrow. That is the quality of the happiness that this world can give us. Yes, there is happiness. Sometimes we look around and say, why do I need God? I'm very happy where I am. But unfortunately, the happiness that we get is itself very poor in quality and quantity. We buy a beautiful car. The next moment we are concerned about its safety. So with every happiness comes a bit of a sorrow. So therefore, Yudhisthira is asking that question, that I want to come out of this constant trap of birth and death. And what an answer Bhishmacharya gives. Look at the directness of the question and the directness of answer. Without blinking, Bhishmacharya says this. Jagat Prabhum Devadevam Anantam Purushottamam. Stuvan Nama Sahasrena Purusha Sasatoktitaha. That means whom should they pray? They should pray to Jagat Prabhum, one who is the owner or the controller of the entire world. Deva Devam. That means he's gods even to the God. He's a God even to the gods. Anantam, someone who is infinite in every way. And Purushottamam. That means he's Sarvasheshta. He's Sarvottama. We should pray to him. Suvan Nama Sahasrena. We should recite this Sahasranama, Vishnu Sahasranama, to for what? Purushaha Satatottitaha. That means if someone wants to be on an ascent all his life, wants to keep on doing the right things, and always stay above this, the challenges that he faces, he has to recite Vishnu Sahasranama. This is coming from the grand old person, that is Bhishmacharya. We have already seen about Sri Bhishmacharya's greatness. And just seen that Lord Krishna is actually sitting in Vishnu, in the body of Bhishmacharya and reciting this. So the questions are his, the answers are his. He's sitting there and witnessing it. And of course, he's recorded the entire thing in the form of, and given us in the form of the Mahabharata text itself. Right? That is what he says. Then, Yata Sarvani Bhutani, Bhavantyadi Yugagame, Yasmincha Pralayam Yati Punareva Yogakshaye. तस्य लोक प्रधानस्य जगन्नाथस्य भूपते विष्णोर्नाम सहस्रम में शुनु पाप भयापहम. What it says is that in this world we all have some bhaya, that means some fear, anxiety, risk that we face all the time. What should I do? Or that's a question, and Bhishmacharya says the way to overcome that is to recite this Sahasrama. Shunu Papa Bhayapaham. It will cure you of all these Papa Bhaya. Papa means sins, Bhaya means fear. Now here, Bhaya is not just fear, it is this world itself. Because in this world, what do we end up doing? Is committing sins. Even times when we want to do the right things, we end up doing things wrong. And because of what we are expecting punya, unfortunately, we'll end up getting some papa because of it. So to overcome this challenge, one has to recite Vishnu Sahasranama. And very importantly, this we have seen earlier, Yani Namani Gaunani. That means each name of Lord Vishnu is nothing but connotes a certain quality that God has. So for people who believe that Vishnu is Nirguna, here is the answer. He is not Nirguna. He is, all the names connote gunas. And how many gunas does he have? Infinite. Right? So Yani Namani Gaunani. So similarly, he goes on to recite the other parts. But here is one part that I wanted to draw your attention to. I will not go through other shlokas. I think we are very familiar with that. But here is one line. Kimekam Daivatam Loke Kimvyapekam Parayanam Stuvantaha Kam Kamarchantaha Prapnayurvanam Ashubham. We have seen the meaning of the second line. But do you find something peculiar in the first line of this sloka? Kimekam Daivatam Lok. Right? Here is the point. Look at the question. Very sharp. Kimekam Daivatam Loke. He wants a one-word answer. Sometimes we say, look, don't tell me 100 things. I'll get confused. Can you give me answer in one word? It's like a multiple choice question in an examination, right? So, Kimekam Daivatam Loke, Kimyapekam Parayam. Give me a sharp answer. Which is that one word? What is that one thing I should do? Don't tell me 100 things. So that's a very sharp question to which we get a equally sharp answer. Right? So it is with this background that we will look at other aspects of Vishnu Sahasranama in our next session, which is all about how does one um, recite the Vishnu Sahasranama? What is the methodology for reciting the Vishnu Sahasranama? How does one learn this? What are the times of the day? What are the practices one should have in order to successfully recite it? And if for those people who are interested in seeing more about it, I will share some online as well as the resources that we can that they can refer to as a follow-up to this particular set of sessions. This series, as I said, will end next next week. That's on the 13th of April. So back to you, Srihari, for taking the question answers.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sundar. It's been a very insightful session today, and especially on the very auspicious day. If anybody wants to ask any questions, um, feel free to come out of the mute. I have a question while others think about any other questions. I have a question as well in the chat saying, I've heard that chant one Rama equal to 1,000 names of Vishnu. Chant one Krishna is equal to 3 times Rama. Where is this coming from?
Srihari, unfortunately, I don't know why I'm not able to hear you well. So can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so the question is, I've heard that chant one Rama is equal to 1,000 names of Vishnu. Chant one Krishna is equal to 3 times Rama. Where is this coming from?
No, I'm frankly, Srihari, I'm not aware of this. If you
Okay.
could share the source by which we can look at this, I'll be able to tell this because Rama and Krishna are equal names. There is nothing about one superiority over the other.
Okay. Sham, do you know where is it coming from? I think you've asked that question. So do you want to come out of the mute and ask the question, please? They say it has come from Brahma Vaivarta Purana.
So if you can share the shloka, I will be able to respond to that. See, there is one thing which I wanted to cover in the next session, but I will say this. If you look at we've all heard that in the Uma Maheshwara Samvada, that means a discussion between Parvati and Lord Shiva, she asked him that Keno Payena Laguna Vishnor Nama Sahasrakam Pathyate Panditair Nityam Shotamichamyaham Prabhu. So he says in brief, can people recite this because they don't have enough time or some other constraints? Okay, is there a way somebody can recite Vishnu Sahasranama in a short way? So they say yes. If you say Rama 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 3 times, Sri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tatulyam Rama Nama Varana. So if you recite Rama name 3 times, it is considered equivalent to Vishnu Sahasranama. Now how? So I will not go into too many technical details, but Rama, the word Rama in the Katapayadi system is 0 and 1. Rama is Ra, Yara, Lava, like that is 0 and 1. So reverses it become 1 and 0. So Rama is 10, 1, 0. Rama, Rama, Rama. Sri Rama, Rama, Rameti. That means Rama, Rama, Rama 3 times. It's 10 into 10 into 10, which is 1,000. So that is a simple way and a brief way one can recite and get the fruits equivalent to Vishnu Sahasranama. Now, this is to be done only when, there is a real paucity of time and people have some major constraint. Otherwise, reciting all the 1,000 names of Vishnu Sahasranama is what is recommended. So if you can share the shloka with me on my email, I will look at the one which they are referring to. I have not heard of this, and it is against the basic tenets itself. So I'm very skeptical about where this comes from.
No problem. I'll get you the details on that. Thank you.
Sri Hari, I want to add something to it. Sundar is correct. There is no Beda, which is no difference in any of the Lord's name. So all names are equal, all avatara also are equal, all rupa are also equal. And also remember the perspective of these text explanation by different philosophical gurus can also differ. So just one point that everybody need to remember, that the perspective on the ideology or the Vedic things that some gurus followed can also differ in the explanation of the scriptures. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Vidya. Varun, you have your hand raised. Do you want to come out of the mute and ask the question, please?
Yeah, sure. Namaskara, Sundar sir. First of all, happy Shri Ram Navami. I had one quick question. Obviously, in these two discourses, you've been talking a lot about Mahabharata. I've been curious on learning Mahabharata. I was wondering if there's any English book which I can purchase which can help me learn Mahabharata for my age group.
Yeah, so the thing is, Varun, the challenge is that the Mahabharata is 100,000 shlokas, right? So if somebody writes a meaning in any language, it will run up to close to 40 to 50 volumes. So that is available in Kannada. If you would like to read it, it's available. It is available as a publication by Sri Palimar Bhatt. Now, if it is to be bought as something which is in English, I would suggest you read the Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya, which is a summary of the Mahabharata, which actually addresses all the spiritual aspects of Mahabharata beautifully. That is available in English. So if you can write to me, I can send you the PDF of two different versions of Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya, written in English format by two authors. I can share that with as a PDF if that helps you.
Sure. Thank you.
Yes. That's why it's called Mahabharata, because it's so, Bhara means weight. So it's so large size that it has got 100,000 shlokas. And the challenge is Mahabharata is also called Mahabharata, not just because of the physical weight. It's actually connoting the spiritual weight of that.
Okay.
Yes, it is clearly one of the most interesting granthas. You know that in India, it has been shot 3 times as series, television series, and both the versions, all 3 versions have been equally popular. And there is a news that a 4th time it is going to be productionized, and already people are waiting for it. So, yes.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Sundar sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sundar. Any questions? Any further questions in the last 2 to 3 minutes, please?
So Rakhi has said that there are more unique, like Savita, Prapita, Mahaha. No, so yes, all of them are, all of them are unique names. But Savita is a common name because it is a form of God, which is Gayatri Pratipadya. That means he is actually there in whenever you look at the meaning of Gayatri mantra, it is Savita. That is the form of God. So it is in that context, it is fairly well known. And Prapitamaha. So Pitamaha means grandfather or one of the ancestors. Pra, when you add pra, that means it's infinite because you have to go all the way up to Chaturmukha Brahma. and he's beyond that. So they didn't know what to do probably, so they added Pra as one of the names, because he's so old that in every yuga, one Brahma will come and graduate to the next level. So it is not just one Brahma, not the current Chaturmukha Brahma. Infinite Chaturmukha Brahmas have graduated under him. Again, for a want of a better word, I am saying this. So he is there since eternity. And
Yes.
another word which goes along with it is Shashvata. That means there's no change. In all these incarnations, in all these yugas, he has not changed a bit.
Yeah.
That's why he's called Shashvata. So Prapitama, yes. If you look at it, if you look at the other names, meanings of even words like names like Rama, the names are so unique.
Unique.
The meanings
Yes.
are so unique. The Garuda Dhwaja, what can be the meaning? He rides on the Garuda. Garuda is his vehicle.
Vehicle.
To unravel it, it has got many, many profound meanings to it. So my attempt is that at least if we can share one meaning of every word to your question last week, and that has stayed with me, that at least one meaning, if we can recollect when we are reciting this, I think that will be very useful for all of us.
Yes. Yeah. So when we are chanting, at least one meaning should come in our mind.
Yes.
So we should chant that slow.
Yes.
Not in a hurry to finish. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Sundar sir. Thank you very much.
I think we're nearly on the time, Sundar. If there are no more questions, sorry, Vidya or Nimagan, do you have any question?
No, I think, Sundar can little bit give intro about Acharu's Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya, which I think everybody should know. Sundar is very exponent on that, so I will leave it to Sundar to little bit elaborate before he winds up the session.
I think we're running out of time today, so perhaps next session we'll keep it for maybe during the initial call, and then we'll start with the final part next week.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sundar. Thank you for your time, and I hope it was a very informative session for all of you. And as we discussed, so next week will be the last part, so please do try and attend so that we will conclude this series. Thank you so much. Hare Srinivasa. Happy Sri Ram Navami.
Yeah, Sherry, just one thing, actually,
Yeah.
as we have seen, today's session was slightly heavy, I think, because we got into some technicalities. So having studied this, because it was important to mention the huge spiritual foundation of Vishnu Sahasranama. It was important, but in next one, we will get into the actual recitation part of it. And very importantly, what are the phalas that one can expect? What are the fruits? Because without the fruit, expecting the right fruits, very important right fruits, and nobody should do anything. So look forward to the next session. Thank you, all of you. Hare Srinivasa.
Thank you. Hare Srinivasa.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hari Srinivas.
Hare Srinivasa.
Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Srinivasa.
Srinivasa.
Hare Srinivasa.